Hi, I'm back again. Right now we're going to talk about septic tanks. So in all of your properties that have on-site septic systems, everyone's got a septic tank. Most of houses have septic tanks. We may have some old systems that have cesspools that aren't individual holding tanks that act as the only system on the property. Those are older systems, and usually they only last a certain time, and then it will be replaced by a conventional septic system. So with the septic tank, the waste comes out down from your toilet, out of the house. If you can see the pipe over here, it comes out of your house, and your solids and liquids enter this tank. When they enter this tank, your solids are heavier. Your solids fall to the bottom, and your liquids fill. And as your liquids fill, they get to a certain point where they come out of this pipe and make it over to your septic leach field. So your solids stay in your tank and your liquids go to your leach field. So as a reminder, that reminds us that you need to have your septic tank pumped because your solids stay in your septic tank. This is called a settling tank. That's where things settle out. Your grease and your fats and oils rise to the top and they stay in the top of the tank. So, common question by homeowners: when should I get my septic system? When should I get my septic tank pumped? Well, that's really a crystal ball answer. There is no magic number. There's some factors that go into that. The number of people in your household, the amount of usage, the type of usage. If you're doing different types of activities, laundry or cooking, pastas and gravies every day. If you have kids that are flushing, baby wipes down the toilet, etc. So you really have to pay attention when you have your septic tank pumped for the first time. Go out and ask the pumper. Say, how was my tank? They're going to turn around and probably tell you, you know what, it was okay. It was, half full. You can probably pump it every 3 years. They might come out and say, whoa, it was really full. You guys have a lot of usage. You should pump it every year. If you're elderly and it's seasonal, or you don't have many people in the house, you may not need it pumped every 5 to 7 years. Some people get on the routine because they just want to get an oil change every 3,000 miles. They just want to do it every year. That's great. You can do that. But it isn't written in stone that you have to get it pumped every year. So ask your septic pumper. They'll tell you a good time frame to when to get it pumped. Also things, remember, your septic system, the water that goes out goes into the ground. And eventually enters the groundwater. So your septic system isn't a type of thing where out of sight, out of mind. You shouldn't be dumping things down the drain, such as paint thinners, or you shouldn't be washing latex paint brushes. Latex is not good. It can seal your leach field. You shouldn't be dumping any type of other things down the drain other than the stuff that goes in the toilet and maybe some things that make it by in the sink strainer. Always keep your strainer in. Keep things out of the tanks. Your tanks are meant for your solids and the liquids that come from your bathrooms, and some water from the sink and your dishwasher and washing machine. Everything else, put in a barrel and properly dispose of it. Eventually, this is your system that you'll be paying for. So it's not like it's in a sewer system where it goes out of sight, out of mind. This goes right into your backyard and enters the groundwater. So we also don't want to put hazardous chemicals or things down the drain that could pollute our waters, our aquifers, our wetlands right around us. So just remember, septic tanks, it's up to you when you should pump it, but get on a good schedule. Once you get that schedule developed, ask your pumper. Should I do it sooner, or can I gain a year, or should I go a year less? They'll let you know. Another thing you should know about a septic tank is some tanks have filters. A filter is what its name says. Is a filter that screens out things from going to your leach field. So for instance, hair, feminine products, other types of things that may float and eventually go out the pipe to your leach field. This is a strainer, no difference than a small strainer in your sink. This is a big strainer in your septic tank. A lot of times you may think that there's something wrong with your septic system. You may be like, oh my gosh, my septic system is failing. It may be that this is just clogged, and you may need to have a professional come out and open up the tank and wash it off and clean it out just like you clean your strainer and your sink. But this is a great canary, a good red flag that these things could make it to your leach field if it weren't here. So if you do know your filter is clogged, you start thinking about what you're flushing down that may be clogging it. Maybe take the things and put it into the trash, maybe scraps or organics that are eventually there. So, that is basically about filters. Not all septic tanks have filters, and filters can be added to your existing septic tanks. Ask a septic installer to come install one. They're a very cheap item. I think this is probably, $20, $30 at the most for a very expensive septic system to last. Another thing about septic tanks, if you are going to dig up your manhole covers yourself, septic tanks are confined spaces and they're very dangerous to you and to your children. Trained professionals or as a homeowner, you should know some of the hazards with septic tanks. They have gases that are associated, methane and hydrogen sulfide. If you open a cover of a septic tank, you should never put your head below the cover of a tank. The gases could succumb you, you could fall into the tank, and people have died by falling into septic tanks. We've had stories and documentation of people that have looked in the tank, have fallen in, someone else has come to get that person, looked in, had fallen in. I think there was one instance where 3 people fell into the same tank and died. So it's not something that you want to do yourself unless you are educated and experienced. If you do decide to do it to yourself, make sure you open the tank, let it breathe for a while, never stick your head below the hole, look in, and if you're going to do the filter yourself, spray it off. But we do recommend you use a trained professional, a septic contractor, or a septic pumper to do these things. Many times when the pumpers come out, this is part of the process. They'll clean this for you. Other than that, that's the basics of your septic tank, and that's the end of this session. Thank you.